Hello everyone, welcome to Supplement Tutorials. Today we'll be talking about Protozoology. Before I start, I would like you to hit on the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel. You can also like and share to your friends. Alright, so let's begin. In our previous video, we gave an introduction of Parasitology and we talked about the various branches we have in Parasitology. We did mention of helminthology, we did mention of protozoology, and then we talked about anthropology. So today we are going to tackle protozoology, just an introduction of protozoology and what it's about. Then in our subsequent video we are going to delve much deeper into it. Alright, so let's begin. So when we talk about protozoology, we are trying to talk about the study of protozoans. So protozoans are one of the classes of parasites under parasitology, especially parasitology of medical importance. And we have a whole lot under protozoology, just as much as we have a whole lot of parasites under the other branches as well, like the helminthology and then the anthropology. So let me just make a quick overview of what we did in our previous lecture. So we talked about parasitology, and then we said mostly we have helminthology, and then we have anthropology. So basically this involves protozoans, this involves helminths, and then this involves arthropods. So the protozoans and then the helminths and then the arthropods. The protozoans are basically unicellular organisms, single-celled organisms. Some of them are motile, some of them are non-motile. Then the helminths are basically worms. So we have the platyhelminthes, which is also known as the flatworms, and then the nemath-helminthes, which is also known as what, the roundworms. And under the flatworms too, we have different what categories. All right, we have the flukes, and then we have the other ones too as well. All right, then when the cestodes, and the trematodes, that's the cestodes and then the flukes. Then the arthropods too, we have a lot. The arthropods can be classified into what, insects, and then what, and then the what do we call it, the spiders. They are all part of what's the arthropods. Arachnids. They are all part of the arthropods. So this is what parasitology is generally about. So we just picked the protozoology aspect, and we are going to talk about it in this lecture. Alright, so let's begin. So protozoology can be broadly classified into 4 major categories. So we have the Sarcomastigophores, we have the Apicomplexa, we have the Microspora, then we have the Ciliophora. So you have to know that protozoology or protozoans can be classified into what? Into 4 categories, main categories, which is the Sarcomastigophores, the Microsporas, the Ciliophora, and then the Apicomplexa. And all these things are parasites of what? Of medical importance. So when we take a section like the Sarcomastigophora, we can classify Sarcomastigophora into 2 major groups. So we have the Mastigophores and then the Sarcodinas. Now the Mastigophores and the Sarcodina, you can see that the Sarcomastigophora is a combination of these 2 names, Sarcomastigophora, which in other words means amoebas and then flagellates. So the Sarcodinas are amoebas, and then the Mastigophores are what? Are flagellates. So examples of the Mastigophoras, we have examples of the Mastigophoras. So we have the flagellates. We can give some example like the Trichomonas vaginalis. The Trichomonas vaginalis is one example of the flagellates. So we have T. vaginalis, Trichomonas vaginalis. Then we have the T. tenax, the T. tenax. Then we will talk about the Giardia lamblia. Then we can talk about our Leishmania species. So we have the Leishmania species, and then we have the Trypanosome species. So all of these are Mastigophoras or flagellates. All these are Mastigophoras or flagellates. Now when we come to the Sarcodinas or the amoebas, we have examples to be the famous ant amoeba histolytica. So we have E. histolytica, which is ant amoeba histolytica, and we have ant amoeba, so ant histolytica. We have ant amoeba gingivalis. Then we have ant amoeba fragilis, and a lot more. So all these ones are under the Sarcodinas. Okay, so in future videos we are going to pick each one of the Sarcodinas and then talk about their life cycle and how they also work or contribute to the world of medicine. So let's move on to the Microspora. So the Microspora are actually spore form and parasites. So they are parasites that form spores, and we have a wide range of the Microsporas. So under the Microspora examples, we have the Vitaform conia. So this is mostly known to cause an eye infection. Then we have enterocytosome species. Then we also have the Nosema enterocytosome species. We have the Nosema species. Then we can go ahead and talk about the Encepha or encephalitozoans. The encephalitozoans, they are also part of the Microspora. And then finally we can talk about the Trichipleistophoras. So all these are under Microsporas. So we have the Vitaform conia, the enterocytosome species, the Nosema species, the encephalitozoan species, and then the Trichipleistophoras. These are, huge words that. Alright, so let's continue. Under the Ciliophora, we only have one parasite of medical importance, and that is the Balantidium coli, or we call B. coli. Balantidium coli. Now let's talk about the Apicomplexans. The Apicomplexans have sub-classifications just like the Sarcomastigophoras. So the Apicomplexans, we have the Coinodacida and the Acoinodacida. So the Apicomplexans actually have a characteristics of apical complex. So the apical complex allows them to be classified as what? As Apicomplexans. And even with the apical complex, there are some that have cone-like structures and some that do not have cone-like structures on their surfaces. So those with cone-like structures are called the Coinodacida, and those without cone-like structures are called the coin or the seed that we know in biology, when we bring A, it means we negate it. So under the coin or the seed that we have the coccidia and the gregarina. So the gregarina is mostly found in invertebrate species like insects. They are insects that are parasitized by these organisms, gregarina. Then we have the coccidia, and the coccidia we have examples to be, we have Cryptosporidium, Sporidium parvum or species, Cryptosporidium parvum or Cryptosporidium species. Then we have the Isospora belli. Isospora belli, that's an example. Then we have Cryptosporidium parvum, we have Isospora belli, and okay, so let's continue. I'll come back to that side. Then the acorn radicidia, we have the Hemosporidia, and then the Pyroplasmidia. So the Hemosporidia, that is where we have our famous Plasmodium species. And then we have the Hemoproteus. We have the famous Plasmodium species and Hemoproteus. Then under the Pyroplasmidia, I think under the Pyroplasmidia, we do not have organisms of parasitological importance or medical importance. They are limited. So when we reach there, we'll discuss about the Pyroplasmidia aspect as well. So mostly we focus on the Hemosporidia, that is the Plasmodium species, and then the Hemoproteus. So under the Pyroplasmidia, we have the Babesia species. So the Babesia species here. Alright, so basically this is what protozoology is about. This is just an introduction of protozoology. So in our next lecture, we are going to take the organisms or the subgroups and then talk about the organisms under them. So for instance, under the Sarcomastigophora, we are going to talk about the Mastigophores and then the Sarcodinas. We're going to delve much deeper into it. Under the Microspora, so we are going to do the same. Under the Ciliophora too, which is the most easiest one because it has only one member, but that is the Balantium coli. And then finally we'll tackle the Apicomplexa. Alright, thank you very much for watching this video. I would like you to hit on the subscribe button to subscribe to this channel, and you get more insight on medical stuffs. Thank you so much.